Yo, what's good, everybody? Welcome into another episode of the BeBall Jones podcast. And of course, I am BeBall Jones. And today I have a very special guest today with me. So it's another coach, man. We had a lot of coaches on the podcast, and we have another one for you, man. And of course, we're coming from the D2 level again, and we're coming from the women's side. So, is a special place for me because we don't talk enough about the women's game. I will admit that we don't talk enough about it, but I'm intentionally being more mindful of the women's game. So I had to bring in another coach for you guys. So I would like for you all to welcome in Mr. Marcus Hunt, another coach Marcus Hunt.
Hey, how's
What's
it
up, man?
going?
Man, it's
Uh,
good, man. What about you?
man, I'm doing all right. Just sitting in the office, another long day, but grateful that I get to do this. So excited to be on the podcast today.
Man, I'm glad to have you in, man. So go ahead and introduce yourself to the people, man. As I called you Marcus, but I had to, get the title right and throw coach in the front. So Coach Hunt, introduce yourself to the people, man.
Marcus Hunt. I am the assistant coach at Shorter University. We're a D2 women's basketball program in Rome, Georgia. I am originally from Memphis, Tennessee, 901 stand up. This is
Hey.
my 8th year of coaching and my 3rd year as a college coach.
Mm. So 8th year coaching, 3rd year college coach. How long have you been at Shorter?
This is my first season at Shorter. I got here
Boy,
in July, August time, so I'm excited.
how you liking it?
Man, so far it's been good, man. We had a ton of freshmen this year. We had 13 new players. So new players and me kind of getting here at about the same time wasn't too awkward. We're all, filling each other out and stuff like that. But so far the team's doing great and I'm loving it.
Mm. So where were you before Shorter?
Before Shorter, I was at Blue Mountain College. So that was an NAIA in Blue Mountain, Mississippi. I tell everybody it's like an hour from Memphis or like 30 minutes from Tupelo, Mississippi. So
See, that was the home state school for you.
yeah. So being really close to Memphis, I was able to go home every weekend, hang out with family. Now I'm a little bit further away. I'm probably about 5, 6 hours from home now, so I don't get to go home too often. But thankful
Yeah.
for technology, you can still connect with family. So
So yeah, take me back to the early days in Memphis, man. What got you into the game?
man, originally I was going to school to become a pediatrician. So I graduated
Mm,
with a degree in chemistry. And midway through my college studies, a friend got me involved in coaching. I started off coaching homeschool basketball. So I had
wow.
never heard of homeschool basketball. And a friend was like, I just need somebody that's a Christian that understands basketball, that can get on the kids, but understands where that line is. So that's when I got started.
Homeschool basketball for real?
Yes. It's not what you
How?
think. We don't practice in driveways. It's not a bunch of kids out the neighborhood. there's a huge homeschool community across the nation. We would meet in Springfield, Missouri for a national tournament, and there would
Mm,
be close to about 200 teams, 200, 300 programs, all the way from 8-year olds up to high school kids.
I've never heard of that. So when you're going to games, how are you playing against the school teams? Like who are you playing against?
In Memphis, we were playing against school teams, private, public. We had other homeschool teams. So when I was coaching, Memphis had 3 homeschool programs. And it was,
Mm.
again, boys and girls, 8-year olds up to 18. So there are a ton of homeschool kids out there.
I've never heard of that. I ain't gonna lie to you. I've never heard that, bro. Like this is shocking news to me.
Most people don't. Most people don't. That's why I gotta go ahead and clarify that we play in real gyms, we go to real games. I can tell you. So on the girls' side, Mariah Jefferson played at UConn and made it to the WNBA. She was homeschooled.
Hmm.
Justin Jackson was homeschooled, went to North Carolina, played in the league. So there are, a
Mm.
couple famous people out there. It's real basketball. It ain't just, 5 to 4, and we all celebrate with orange slices. Like we were really out there being competitive, man.
Like I knew players that were homeschooled and then actually hoop, but I thought it was more of like you had to go through certain not loops, but like go through certain processes to go play for a school team or whatever. But I know it's like a whole like homeschool
Yes.
team. I didn't know that.
Yes,
That's crazy.
there's multiple leagues. I know there's like a East Coast homeschool league, and then the one that I participated in, we were kind of like all over. So like we would play. You have like regional tournaments, and there'd be like a region in Oklahoma, a region in Dallas, a region up north in Illinois, and yeah, man, it's huge.
Hmm. That's interesting, man. Like you first said that, my first thought was like an outdoor goal, like you and somebody driveway. I'm like, hold on, bro. Like,
No, we would it's really homeschool was a lot of parents that just felt like the education system wasn't that great and they still wanted their kids to play sports. So actually I was part of MHEA and they had homeschool baseball, soccer, uh I think they were doing football. The other program in Memphis was doing football. So it's just kids that don't go to school for that 8 to 3 p.m. every day, but they still were good and wanted to
mhm.
play sports. So
Mm, that's interesting. So you didn't do like any teaching, nothing. You strictly coaching.
just strictly coaching. I was actually working in a lab as a chemist, and I would get off at 5 o'clock, speed through traffic. Well, for legal purposes, I was obeying the speed limit and getting the getting the games, changing in the car, changing in the bathroom, and sprinting to the floor and coaching. So I love that part of my life. That was great.
Mm. So did you start with the girl side, or like were you always on the girl side, or did you start off boys, or how'd they work for you?
No, I started on the boys side. So I started off middle school boys, and I did that. My guys went from seventh, eighth, all the way up till I think most of my guys. I spent about 4 years, and then I moved over to the girls side. Tracy Rice, who's the head coach at Blue Mountain College, where I first got my first college coaching job. She was the women's coach in homeschool, and she left to go to college. And because she left to take a college job, there was a void on the women's side. And I had been kind of training some of the girls. So I stepped over as an assistant coach. And then I realized like that is the best form of basketball. And there's no
Mm.
way I could go back to the other side. I call the men's game the dark side. I can never go back to the dark side.
Yo, I train both halves, so I won't comment too heavy on that one. But I will say, how can I say this? I'm gonna be PC right here. Um, there are perks and benefits of training the girls have. I will say you smile a little bit more
Mhm,
and
mhm.
you have less of a headache sometimes. I'll say that.
Hey, you can't, but I'll say it, at that high school age, once my guys learned how to dunk, there was nothing else that they wanted to know how to do. I couldn't show them a jab, a mid-range jumper. They were like, Coach, I'm gonna just take off and dunk. And I was like, hey man, we going against like 6'5", 6'6". You like 6'1". Like you can dunk when you tell everybody, clear
Yeah,
out, clear out, clear out. You take 3 dribbles and you get your Fred Flintstone on, stumble your feet, and then jump. But like we can't do that
yeah,
in the game. And on the girls' side, they were actually hungry. They were like, hey, we were running real plays. Like the fundamentals were there. And I was just like, yeah, can never go back.
yeah. I I'll say coaching wise, girls. Like if I had to coach, I probably would prefer the girls or younger guys,
Mhm.
like middle school and younger for guys. But girls, I could give me whatever with the girls, man. It's totally different. But training, I'm always open to both halves. I love my guys. I love the ladies. I'm training whoever, whatever. Make sure that's clear. For somebody try to, nah, man. So, after you took the position, what was the difference that you saw for you between the guys and the ladies? Like, you call it the dark side, but what are like the biggest differences that you saw between the dark side and the lady side?
On the girl side, man, they just worked. Like they would come in, and like there was no period of me having to puff my chest out and argue for 30 minutes on a move. The girls were just like, "Hey, coach, I want to get better. What do I need to do?" And we get right into it. And then I could see for them, they were able to pick up on things a little bit faster. So
Mhm.
my guys, it was years of trying to retrain things. So you play pickup with this coach and he allowed you to do that. So now I'm trying to correct that and give you something different. Whereas the girls, they were sponges. They were soaking up everything. And it wasn't that they came from bad coaching, because Tracy Rice was dominating high school and homeschool basketball. Like she
Mhm.
won two straight undisputed national championships in Memphis. Quiet as kept. Nobody really wanted to play her because her girls were just
Mhm.
that good. So like I think really that's what made my transition easy. Was I came into a situation where the girls had been hungry for winning and they knew what that was like, and it just made it that much better for me.
So did you see any differences between like coaching homeschool? I know you didn't get into like school ball, but like did you see any differences between those players or anything?
Um, The only difference was with homeschoolers, they just weren't lifting as many weights as like the public school. So I would coach like AAU during the summer, and I would have a mix of kids. And my kids that came out of public school, they've been in the weight room with their high school teams. Whereas
Mm.
homeschool, we didn't really have access to a weight room, so my players weren't quite as strong. But as far as skill set, no. Like
Mm.
I had kids that could go, and every now and then we would get them in some of the local super leagues, or like some of the local runs, and they would show out, and they just be like, "Hey, who do you play for?" And they'd be like, "I'm homeschool," and everybody be like, "Oh, okay." But like our guys held their own, so I didn't really
Yeah.
notice the difference.
Mm. I was wondering about that, man, because I've heard of how I think it's becoming more of it's starting to become more of a popular thing for parents to say, I want to homeschool my kids. But I think there's a whole, I think it sounds cool on paper, but then like to actually go through it is a whole other thing that I feel like is not talked about, man. So what are some of those hurdles and, obstacles to get through? I mean, I know you don't know, you might know the full thing, but from your perspective, what are some of the obstacles or whatever that, come with the homeschooling?
I'll tell you, it can be quite expensive. So, playing for your public school team, you might do a car wash fundraiser, but that was pretty much it. Or you sell a couple candy bars. Homeschool, we got to pay for gym rentals.
Mhm.
We don't have a budget given to us by the state. So every time we step on the floor and we're paying referees, we played a lot of away games. So that costs parents, they have to drive. You don't get on a school bus and they take your kid to the games. You're responsible
Mhm.
for finding a ride there. And so, I mean, it can be a little bit more expensive, but you save money on the other stuff so that you can be able to play the sport. So I would say that the money aspect is a big one. The other thing was just sometimes we were playing so many games that we didn't really get to practice. So like
Mm.
we would play Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, but we're trying to rent out a local church to use their gym to practice. Well, Wednesday night they got service, Sunday they got service, Saturday mornings they're having their own little leagues for the churches. So we weren't always able to practice each week, and we were still out there
Mm.
trying to compete with teams practicing every day. So I think those were
Mhm.
probably the two biggest obstacles.
Mm. Yeah, that sounds like a basic trainer or like a travel ball coach's issue, man. So but that's kind of weird to hear from a schooling perspective that you struggling to find gym time, man. But at least you ain't outside with the bootleg home goals.
And I bring that up because I told a friend one day that I was coaching homeschool, and he looked and he just stared at me, and he was like, "So, do they come to your house and practice? Do y'all like pull a goal out to the curb?" And I was like, "Bruh, this is a legit process here." He was like, "Oh, okay, okay." We not meeting up at the park. Like we legit indoors playing games with real referees and scoreboards.
Yeah,
And he was like, "Oh, all right."
yeah. That just sounds like it was just interesting to hear at first. Like homeschool, I'm like, hold on, man. Like eh, all right, but okay. Yeah, now you're telling me about it. I'm like, okay, that kind of makes sense, and it's just interesting to hear about, man. But so what was it like when you finally took over on the girls, like to finally be, in control now on the girls side?
Man, like I was still the assistant coach when I moved over to the girls side, but it was cool because some of the girls I had known for a while through training. So now it was just like, all right, let's put in. Now I'm not teaching you moves anymore. I'm teaching you like game concepts. And we're going
Mm-hmm.
out here and we're running these different actions. And it was awesome to see because also that started getting me more into the women's side of the game. So I started watching more women's basketball, the WNBA, and things like that. And like I credit it with like raising my basketball IQ. Because in the women's
Mm-hmm.
game, you can't just give the ball to a player and throw a lob. Like we're doing a couple more complex screens on the backside, keeping people occupied. So like I tell anybody, like if you really want to raise your basketball IQ, watch the women's game. And yeah, it's gonna be some X's and O's. I have a full album on my camera on my phone of just like basketball plays from watching games at night. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I think one issue with that sometimes is that it's it's not as easy, or not as easy, but it's not as public, I guess, to watch the women's games. Because the NBA, it's boom, you ESPN,
mhm.
TNT, whatever, ABC. It's on somewhere. Like you get the local channels. So like for you got Memphis, so you can watch the Grizzlies. And for me, I'm from Alabama, so I'm getting the Hawks games, and you get Grizzlies games. But the WNBA is kind of tough. It's not as easy. You have to be intentional about watching WNBA. I'll say that. Like it's
Definitely.
ESPN and sometimes ABC. It's
Yeah.
not as easy to. So, uh, mm,
Yeah, it definitely is a little bit harder, but the best things are kind of hard, You got to go through
yeah,
something if really getting something. If it was just that easy, everybody would have this knowledge. But if you're really seeking it out, we all have smartphones. We all got Google. I mean, it's easy to type in, WNBA game today, and it'll pop up with a long list of things. So, like, I used to
yeah,
tell my kids all the time, there's no excuse like if you want to get better out here, you can get better. So, but I do agree. Like the women's game does need to do a better job of marketing itself or making it more available or easily available to more people. So,
yeah. So, now take me through like that next step for you. So, becoming that assistant coach, what was that like? You know what I mean? Like to be in that position now. What was that like for you to like after that transition? What was that experience like for you personally?
man, it was a little scary. I actually took a year off from coaching because I was working as a chemist and it was getting a little hard to make it to games and stuff. And I, kind of sat down and prayed about it. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna get my teaching degree and then I'll be able to work in the school system. Took a year off and the pandemic happened. Everything got shut down. Still going to work. I had one of those jobs where they were still making us come in because we were vital. And in April of 2020, Tracy Rice got the Blue Mountain job. And she called me the week after her getting the job and was like, hey, do you want to be a college coach? And to
Mm,
me, that was like an answered prayer. I had been, working behind the scenes trying to get my teaching degree, emergency license. And so within 2 months, I was now a college coach. And I
mm,
was like, oh, okay. It's a little bit of that imposter syndrome where you're looking around at
mm,
everybody and you're like, man, I don't belong here. Like, funny fact about me is I've never played on a school basketball team. I didn't play in
mm,
college, didn't play in high school, middle school, elementary. I played, AAU some rec leagues, things like that. But I studied the game and I was a trainer. And, one of the things that she told me was she talked to the parents, and all the parents were like, we trust Marcus. Marcus has
mm,
good character around our girls. He knows what he's talking about. So, like, that homeschool experience actually helped me get my college coaching job. Because if you looked at my resume on paper, you would have pushed it to the bottom of the stack. and you'd be
Mm.
like, we'll come back to that guy later. But
Yeah.
grace of God and some connections that I had helped me out. So
Mm. How did you balance your job and coaching? You know what I mean? Because you didn't come into it wanting to coach. So how did you like mentally balance, not just the scheduling, but like the emotional side of it? Because like I know you love basketball, obviously. So how did you like emotionally balance being on a job and the coaching part?
it was tough. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I just had one of those jobs, thankfully, that I worked in a lab, but it's too late for them to find me or do anything about it. But we might have worked from 8 to 5, and really, I only did things like every 15, 20 minutes. So most of my time at work was spent on basketball, like
Mm.
watching podcasts, looking at plays on YouTube. I had my phone up. I'm watching basketball games. So like it started to get to a point where I could see like basketball is taking over. And like
Hmm.
I might be sick and call off from work, but I'm still trying to go to that game that night to coach. And that was around
Hmm.
the time where I was like, all right, I got to make a switch. Like this is my heart. This is where my calling is. I need to get on top of this. And that's when I started trying to, work on my teaching license and things like that. And just so happened that I was able to get to the college game.
Hmm. So where did the teaching come in? Like, how did that come a factor?
I knew since I was younger, I wanted to work with kids. Like I said, originally, I thought I was going to be a pediatrician. So
Yeah.
I'm going to school, get out, become a chemist, and I'm coaching basketball. And I was looking to do basketball full time. And I just didn't think that I could be a college coach. So I was like, all right, if I can go become a teacher, then I can coach. So in
Hmm.
Memphis, or in most school systems, you don't really get paid a lot to coach. It's a small stipend and they really get paid off you teaching. So I was like, okay, I got a chemistry background. They're always looking for science teachers. I can go get my license and teach and become a coach. And now I look back on it like that's a horrible way of thinking because the teaching side would have suffered because I'd be in class really thinking about my game plan. So there are a lot of kids out there that did not suffer, and they are super thankful that I got into the college game.
Yo, that's funny.
So like I'm super thankful God worked it out because he knows I'd have been in there. They'd have been asking me about carbon and atoms and stuff. And I'd be like, yeah, that's cool and all. But hey, y'all look at this 2-3 zone for me and tell me where the holes are to help me out.
Supposed to draw atoms and molecules. You trying to put 2-3 zone,
Yeah,
three
I'm
two
drawing up a
zone,
two,
like.
three zone. Hey, what y'all think about this out of bounds play, huh? Anybody got any suggestions? 5 points on your quiz. Like, so
Oh, that's funny, bro. Yeah, a lot of kids got spared from not learning science from
yeah.
uh it would have
Hey,
been
somebody watching this right now, like, man, I wish he was my science teacher.
yep. All the athletes like, dang man, I wish I had him as my teacher. Man. Oh, that's funny. But you said something else that I wanted to get into. Um and tell me back to the balancing of it because that's a big struggle that a lot of coaches and trainers have, and a lot of business people have. Students struggle with that really. So how did you time manage? I know it's easy because you have a job, but like
Mhm.
sometimes it's you slack up sometimes, and it's easy to get lazy and slip up and do other stuff. So how did you like manage that, time wise?
Man, for me, it was really I'm one of those people, I stay up late. I'm a night owl. So like this is when I was younger too. So, it was probably not as healthy now that I'm 30, but when I was younger, I could go to sleep at 3 in the morning, get back up at 8 and be good, or think that I was good for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
And, really it was just my mom taught me when I was younger, like you got to sacrifice to get to some places that you want to get to. So like we always talk about the triangle in our house, sleep, money and feeling good. Like you can pick 2 out of 3. All 3 kind of tough to get to. So like I was
Mm.
sacrificing money because I was like, I gotta sleep, gotta feel good to be able to interact with kids. So some days, I would like call off from work. I would be like, "Hey, man, can I clock out?" Or, like, y'all don't need me here, right? And they'd be like, nah, we slow today. Like, we got enough people to handle the batches. Like, you go ahead. So I was losing
Mm-hmm.
money to coach. And,
Yeah.
I could do that because I was single. I didn't have any kids or anything like that. So it was okay if I was eating ramen every night. Like, hey, man, I'm
Yep.
coaching. I'm doing what I want to
Yep.
do.
That's funny. No, I like that the triangle. Yeah, I might steal that, bro. So if you see that somewhere, I probably stole it from you and used it. So
Hey, man, that's good. Just give me credit twice and then you can have it. That's all I need. Credit twice. Because
I got you.
I stole it from Bernie Mac. He
Mm,
talked about a triangle on his show, and it was fast, good, and cheap. You can only have two. So we kind of modified it and talked about money, sleep, and your well being. But his
yeah.
was, if you want something fast and cheap, it's not gonna be good. If you
Yep.
want something, cheap and good, it ain't gonna be fast. So, hey man, all I need is credit twice, and then it's yours.
Yeah. So I'm gonna use your version twice, and I'm gonna flip it and make it my own. Then I'm gonna trademark it so it can be my own thing. You feel me? So that's how I'm
There
gonna
you
do it.
go.
So
There you go.
so take me back to your training days, man. Like I thought about this for a while myself, man. But what are some of the differences that you see between training and coaching?
Ooh, man. For me personally, and I might not have been doing it correctly, but training to me was selfish. It was more centered around that one player. And it was, how do I put
Mm,
you in the best position to score? How do I put you in the best
mm-hmm.
position to look good? And when you go to coaching, you got 12, 15 other kids that you're trying to get right. So to me, training was like, hey, when you get the ball, you need to hit this move, that move, read the defense, and score. But in coaching, I'm like, hey, swing the ball, let it move.
Mm-hmm.
So even to this day, I still tell my players, I'll pull them to the side and I'll be like, hey, trainer Marcus says, go get that and score. Coach Marcus says, hey, you need to make that extra pass. And I'm like, you do what you do with it, but there's still there's still a little bouncing act there.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of like that with my players, man. So I'm like, me personally, as your trainer, hey, get a bucket because I could care less about anybody else.
Uh-huh.
But
Uh-huh.
to appease your team and the coach, this is the basketball play you should make. So,
Uh-huh.
I never give them a straight answer. It's kind of like, hey, hey, get a bucket, get that pass. But hey, man, I see, man. You see, the girl's open over there, so pass it to her. But for real, get a bucket. I don't care about none of that. So,
Uh-huh.
I play that
Uh-huh.
little
It's
game with
like
myself.
that evil Kermit meme where you pop up on the side of your player and you be like, hey man, you need to go. Ugh. But and then on the
Yeah.
other side, out loud, you scream, hey, pass it, swing it. Yeah, swing it. Like, it's completely
Yep.
different pulling up to a game of kid that you train and you reading the
Yeah.
box score like, you only have 5? Now your parent looking at me like I don't know what I'm talking about. Come on, man, you got to score some more. So,
Yep.
to me, that's two different roles.
Yeah, yeah, like it's two sides of the same coin. Is how I like to see it,
Mhm.
because at the end of the day, you're all about putting the players in the best position to get this end result. So of course, as a trainer, you want the win, but you can't necessarily give there's no winning in training. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
in coaching, putting everybody in position so you actually win, so we can have more points at the end of the buzzer. So, um, I struggle with that for a minute to like really conceptualize the difference between it. Like I had my thoughts of it, but like to really make it make sense to where it's like I could tell a coach, a trainer, a parent, player, whatever, this is what the main differences are, man. So I like to get other people's perspective on like, especially somebody who does both of it. So just interested to see like how you see the both sides of it, man.
And I mean, it still, rings true to this day. We'll do an individual workout and then come for a team practice. And those are two totally different
Mm.
things. It's still that same little duality right there. Cause in the individual, I'm like, hey, you need to go between the legs, Euro step, make a layup. But then when we get to team practice, I'm like, hey, your job is to catch that and make it keep moving. Like,
Mm-hmm.
in the individual, like, yes, you need to work on this corner three and shoot it. But we get to game time. I'm like, hey, that ain't your shot. Like, we got other people that do that a little bit better. Like individual, we're growing game, trying to add to it. to where eventually that can become their shot in practice or in our team concept. But
Mm-hmm.
it's still there, and I still struggle with that balance a little bit.
Yeah, that's a tough one, man. But you know, like you said, it's the good and the evil side of us. Like it's the evil current meme popping up sometimes, but I think you can't have one without the other. Honestly, I'm gonna be real with you. I don't think you can, but it's cool for me. I'm a trainer, so I'm not gonna sit here and bash you, bro. Like we on the same side. But hey, so yeah, man. Now talk me through, your years up there as assistant coach, man. So how was that whole run like up there?
Man, I was at Blue Mountain for 2 years, and it was awesome. I wasn't looking to leave. Like I thought we were going to be there for a little while. I had got my first taste of recruiting, and being from AAU, I'm used to recruiting kids and getting them to come play for a summer. But like all summer, traveling to different events and talking to parents, talking to kids every week, like I love it. And I know a
Hmm.
lot of older coaches say like, "Oh, I hate recruiting." Like I love this part of the game. It might be because
Hmm.
I'm a gamer and I used to play the NCAA football games and recruiting on that and stuff like that. But like, I love recruiting. So I'm like, you tell me I get to pull up to a gym and like it's weird because kids read the name on your shirts. So like I pull up to a gym and I got like 30 parents and kids pointing at me, and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, man. Like, I love that I can help somebody change their future, which is the way I look at it. Like,
Mm.
I'm offering a scholarship. You're going to get an education, and this is going to help you set up for your family. So, like, the recruiting aspect, I love it. I love not having to teach. Like, I don't have to go do a classroom and then come back and game plan. Like it's just basketball all the time, which I love.
Mm.
I get to come in, work on scouting reports, film exchange, stuff like that. Like this is the
Yeah.
perfect life for me.
Mm. So during your 2 years there, man, how was y'all run, man? What was that like?
We took over a situation that we were rebuilding. So
Mm.
that first year, just trying to change the culture. The previous coach had been there for a while, and they things were just kind of moving, and the athletic department decided to shake it up, and they brought us in, and at the end of the second year, I think we had won the most games since 2013 in that
Mm.
program, and you start to feel better because coaches are coming up to you saying, "Man, that's the toughest team we've played out of this school in a while." You still don't feel good because you're not winning as much as you would like,
Yeah.
but we got double digit wins, won a game in our conference playoffs, in our conference tournament. So like we were on the verge of changing things around. We had just finished our second recruiting class. So like it was looking up. And then I just happened to get blessed with an opportunity to come to Shorter, which made a little bit more sense for me and I had to take it. But we were starting to get things rolling at Blue Mountain. So
How do you establish culture? I've been thinking about that for the longest, man. It's like what do you do to implement a culture, especially not when you have new people coming in? Like it are to have players there established. So how do you change the culture and implement your own culture into a situation like that?
yeah, man. It's one of those things where you come in and you not only tell them what you expect, but you actually do it and live it out every day. And you constantly remind them that this is the way we're going to do things. So, like, and I know culture is that big buzzword for coaches. I think somebody put together a short YouTube video where every new coach says the word culture in their press conference, and there's 50,000 people saying culture, 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 but it's just because that's how important it is to programs. So one of the ways we did it was we wanted more of a family environment. So like we made it mandatory that our girls met every week to do some type of team bonding. So
Mhm.
whether it be they watched a movie together, they play games together, they just sat and talked, went out to eat. Like those were the ways that we set our culture. And then it was having a defined list of standards that we made sure that we implemented. And it was like, hey, you got to be here 15 minutes early. Hey, you got to be in the first 3 rows of class. You got to meet with me like I had because of my chemistry background. they had to meet with me and we worked on homework and things like that. And then it was just us not being lazy as coaches. So
Mm.
I didn't have to be there at 8 in the morning, but because my kids had class at 8 in the morning, I would pop up and go to class and make sure they were actually in the first 3 rows, make sure they were actually listening, didn't have headphones in and stuff like that. So
Yeah, yeah, man. Congratulations on that turnaround too. I know it's not an easy feat to, establish a culture and actually change things like that. So congratulations on that, man.
thank you, thank you.
Um, so is that what led to your success? Your success led to you, moving on to shorter? Like, how did that happen?
Man, Joel Harrison, you had him on the podcast. I met him. He was at another school, Faulkner, and
Hmm.
I actually met him the summer that I got the job. So we would be out at the recruiting events, and they're in our conference. So his head coach would speak to my head coach, and you know how you just kind of looking around and you like, I don't know anybody here. And he was like super friendly, just like, "What's up, man? How's it going? If you need anything, let me know." I was like, "Okay, cool, bro. I really appreciate it." Because again, I'm feeling like an imposter at all times. I'm like, I don't know what to do. Am I looking right? Am I doing this right?
Hmm.
So having a friend and somebody that you can rely on really helped. And building like a true connection with him led to me getting connected to Shorter. So right now I work for Coach L. Coach L got the job last August, and she spent the whole year without an assistant coach. And her and Joel are real good friends. Yeah, yeah. No assistant coach. She had two GAs, but they're studying and working hard every day, still trying to help. But at the end of the year, her and Joel talked, and Joel was like, "I got a friend who I think can make the jump and help you out." And she was like, "All right, send him my way." So he told me about it. I applied. And really, it was off the strength of me and him making a genuine connection and friendship that he was able to recommend me to get this job. And then it helped that I did have the success. We at Blue Mountain, Carmen Taylor won Freshman of the Year, and she was one of the girls that we recruited in our conference. So like having that success on paper, but also having somebody that can vouch for me really helped me get this opportunity.
Man, shout out to Joe, man. That's a good dude,
Yeah,
man. Shout out to
yeah,
Joe.
man. Like Joel, even when I got here and now we're back in the same conference, he still would call me. Like he calls me probably like every month, every so often, like checking on me, like, "Hey man, how's it going? You good? How you feeling?" And like I really appreciate that because like
Yeah.
he had been in this for a while, like being the GA and helping out, and then becoming an assistant coach. And for somebody like me that just jumped into it, like it's like getting thrown in the deep end, and I can't swim.
Hmm.
So like having a friend there that was like, "Hey man, here's a life jacket. Hey man,
Yeah.
not only here's a life jacket, but like I'm gonna come help pull you over this way." So like I really appreciate him, bro.
Yeah, that's a good thing, man. Because I know in our community, we tend to get kind of, cold shoulder, and we kind of don't, we're not as helpful as we could be or should be sometimes. So that's something I'm trying to be more intentional about. Like I don't intentionally be like I ain't gonna help nobody out. It's all me. It's just, you kind of get focused on doing your own thing, and you gotta look up sometimes and look out for other people. And especially when you're in the same conference now, it's like he didn't have to look out for you. He doesn't have to, look out for somebody else. So man, shout out to him for being a good dude, man. Like,
Yeah, definitely. Because I told him I was like, "Hey, man, you bring me here. I'm coming to beat you, right? Like
yeah,
this ain't that. Like I ain't just gonna be like, oh, that's my boy. Let him win." He's like, I
yeah,
know you're gonna be competitive." So
yeah,
I'm super thankful for him, and I got a couple of friends that like I'm trying to do the same thing for as well. Like I believe everybody keeps saying like you got to make connections to move up in this business, but the other thing is
yeah,
like having genuine connections, not just like having a name in your phone book that I can hit you up and be like, "Can you be a reference?" But like people that you
yeah,
talk to weekly or monthly, stuff like that. So
yeah, yeah. That's key, man. Like I'm learning that on my half too. As a trainer, like I have to be like be intentional about making a connection, like you said, genuine connections, not just list the phone book. I got this coach, this trainer, this player, or whatever,
hmm
but
hmm
people I actually know can hit up and like they can reference me and I can reference them effortlessly. Like it's no issue. So that's a big thing that I'm still working on for myself, man. But that's a major key.
yeah, man, you want to be able to go past a coach just being like, "Oh, he's a good guy." Oh yeah, like never heard of him getting in trouble. You want them to actually be like, I remember when Marcus did this and that, or Marcus actually had his hand in this. So like it is big to make those real connections.
Mm. So yeah, man. So like you said, at Shorter, you're assistant coach and recruiter, right?
Yes, yes.
So take me through um some key things through your recruitment that you're looking for, or like some big do's and don'ts of like recruitment and when you're looking at players.
All right. Yeah, really, it varies at schools because it really depends on the system and the style and the head coach. So for what I can tell you is like what we were looking for at Blue Mountain is different than what I'm looking for here at Shorter. So one of the key things is figuring out what my head coach wants, and then going out to those games and trying to look for it. And one of the things is like I hate to say it, but it does matter who you play for on AAU. Like not necessarily the name on the front of the jersey, but the coach or the director. So like I have friends that are directors and AAU coaches, and because I know them, I'll go to their games. So when I go to an event, I check out when their teams are playing, and it's just performing well at all games. And even if like I know a lot of these events, there are 100 games going on, and there might not be a court coach at a game, but I'll tell a kid like play hard at that game because we all talk. So like I'll
Mm-hmm.
have a friend that just played against a kid and he's like, man, that kid was tough. You need to check her out. And I'd be like, okay, well, let me put her on my list to get to her games and things like that. Or we have other college coaching friends that are like, yo, this girl can't play for me, but I think she's super cold. Like you need to give her a look. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll put her on my list. What I tell most kids is do your research. So like you need to know if they have your major, which is a big thing. I've heard a ton of kids get to college campuses and be like, "Man, I completely forgot about the school aspect." And I'm like, "Hey, man, you're a student athlete. Like you got to go to class."
Yeah.
I would tell them also, you need to check out campus. I don't know how you commit to a place without stepping foot on campus. You need to go to campus. You need to check out the dorm situation because like you're going to be living there. Like
Yeah.
I tell them, eat at the calf. You need to experience life on college campus before you commit because like it'll make my job easier. Because
Mm.
unfortunately, at some point in the season, I'm gonna yell at one of my players. Like we're gonna get into an argument, and there's gonna be a time where that kid doesn't really feel like being here, or you know, going to workouts and things like that. And if you put on top of that, you hate where you stay at in your dorm, or you
Mm-hmm.
don't like the city that you're in, or like the food here is terrible, like you're gonna want to leave, and it's gonna make that harder to get up and get through that process. Um, After doing that, I would tell them keep reaching out. Like I get, probably like 50 emails a day from recruiting services or just kids reaching out on themselves. Like keep reaching out till you get a response. And then in those emails or like Twitter DMs or whatever you're doing, be respectful and put your information in there. I don't see it too much on the girl side, but some of my friends that coach guys are like, man, you won't believe how many DMs I get from recruits that say like, yo, bro, I want to check out your school, or like, what up, my dude? Can you help me out? And
Oh,
like,
it's funny.
we don't see that too much on the girls' side, but I've had it happen once where a guy DM'd me and I was like, hey, I'm a women's coach. And I was like, just for future reference, don't message coaches like that. And he was like, oh, okay, thank you, coach. Like, I don't know what happened to the kid, but I was just like, yo, there's just certain levels of respect that you have to have in this game because some coaches are kind of old school. They might not take too kind to that.
Yeah.
Me, because like you're gonna represent them at some point, and they don't want to be worried about you going up to the school president being like, "What up, my dude?" or "What up, bruh?" And like the school
Yeah. Yeah.
president ain't really responding to that. So, those are just a couple quick tips that I would tell somebody.
So when it comes to reaching out, um, you can go girls or guys side, whatever you feel.
Okay.
What are like some brownie points, I guess, or like some good little tricks and tips to be like, hey, if you say this or show this to recruiters, there's a slight little chance that you get a better nod, or what are some of those things that players should know about when reaching out to a recruiter?
I would tell you, don't lie about your height. That is one of the most off-putting things. Is as a coach, I get an email that says, "Hey, this girl's 6'2", and I'm like, "Okay, 6'2". They include a highlight. Your highlight tape says you're 6'1". I go to your Twitter. Your Twitter account says you're 6 foot. Now I'm confused, and I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, I don't even want to get involved with that. I would tell you, you know, it takes time, but all your emails or your reach outs need to be genuine. I can tell when you copy and paste and you just change out my name and the school's name, because you have to be specific. A lot of it is general. So like mention something about the city or mention something about the school. I see you
Mm.
guys have a nice nursing program or a good business program. Like, I'm really interested in that. Don't just tell me I like your offensive system and I think I can fit that. Because truly, like, this was our first year. I haven't even been here 4 years, so you can't tell me that you like the offensive system that we run because it's only been a year.
Yeah.
So, being specific, include your GPA. Like, if you have a strong GPA, if you can put that in there and maybe put that in bold or highlight your GPA and your ACT score, that's going to catch my attention, especially if it's highlighted in yellow. So if I got a
Mm.
sea of black words and that yellow's going to draw my eyes, and I see, oh, you got a 30 ACT, your GPA is above a 3.5, like, that's going to bring you extra scholarship money and won't cost me much on my basketball budget. Like, that's going
Mm.
to, make me lean in and investigate a little bit more.
Mm. So now give me the other side of it. Now give me a story. Give me a funny story of someone reaching out to you and just like, did you not know how to reach out to a coach at all? Like, just give me a funny story if you can.
uh, yeah, I won't mention any names or anything like
Of
that, but
course, of course.
I did have a kid reach out. They misspelled my name, and my
Mm.
name is super simple. Is Marcus, Marcus. They misspelled my name, and they were like, I really would like to play for a head coach like you. And I'm like, I'm the assistant coach. So I was like, you really just like tried to copy and paste this and messed up somehow. And
Yeah.
at that point, I was just like, I didn't even read the rest of the email. Like,
Mm.
I think the first part was like to coach Mark or something like that, or it didn't even have my name spelled correctly. And it was like, and I was like, okay, whatever. Like, let me keep reading. And it was like, I would really like to play for a head coach like you. Like, I think I can fit well in your system. And I was just like, all right, you didn't do any research here.
Yeah.
Copied and pasted. It wasn't genuine. So I just moved on. But I laughed about it. I think I screenshotted it. And I was like, okay. Because you hear stories about people saying that, like, man, kids just copy and paste and send stuff. And I was like, nah, man. Like, if you're really reaching out, like, but I also get there are honest mistakes, but I was like, that's too many mistakes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Um, how do you feel about the whole social media page being created by a parent? Like, you got a young kid and a parent has created a page for them and they're making the highlights and all that stuff. How does that, translate to getting, a scholarship? Has that ever, I know it's still kind of new, but has that ever been like a good thing? You know what I'm trying to say? Like, how's that play out?
yeah. To me, like so right now, 23s are the upcoming seniors. I'm not really clicking on your 2029 page, or like if you're sending me highlights as a 2029, I don't care because you're so far from what you're going to actually be that, like, you might be good at that, fourth, fifth grade level, but by the time you get to high school, you fell out of love with basketball and you haven't really worked on your game, or your peers have passed you. Like, that doesn't matter to me. I have heard from some parents, like especially on the girl side, it's a lot of creepy people out here. So parents kind of like share the profile with their kids just so they can monitor it and stuff like that. Like that's completely acceptable. I understand
Mhm.
that. But really at, like once you get into high school, it kind of needs to be you communicating with me because that's the way it's going to work in college. Like I'm not
Mhm.
one that shuts parents out because I believe like we need your community invested in this so that when you do have those hard times or you are, mad or upset, your parents can be somebody that you can bounce those ideas off and they need to be included in this. But really, I'm not looking at the middle school kid whose dad keeps posting her 3-pointer attempts after games. Like to me, I'm like, that doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm just interested about that, man, because I'm all for parents, supporting their kids, and because I'm not a dad, but I can understand the excitement of your kid doing anything. Like, and I feel like if I had a kid, man, you get a gold star for everything, bro. Like, I'm proud of you, like doing anything. So, but at the same time, I feel like it's some of it gets kind of weird when you're trying to like get kids recruited and they're 8. I'm just like
Yeah.
2052 high school grad. Like, come on, man. Like,
Hey, yeah, and like, I'm still I don't have a lot of Twitter followers. So like it still pops up and I can still see it and it's like such and such baby Jamie 2032 followed you on Twitter. And I'm like, 2032? What are you doing on Twitter? Man, I didn't get a phone until I was a sophomore in high school. Like, why do you have a phone right now? Why are you creating highlight tapes? And I'm like,
yeah,
yo, highlight tapes is really just you running down making a layup against kids that were staring off into the stands. Like that doesn't I'm not giving you a scholarship for that.
yeah,
So I just think that type of stuff is funny that those parents, like you said, I'm not a parent either. And I understand being invested in your child and being excited for them, but still, I'm not doing that. I'm
yeah.
not with that
I
trend
love,
yet.
yeah, I love when parents on their personal page post their kids, whatever. I love that, support it. I got parents that I had that do that, and I'm 100% cool with that. I'm not trying to knock that, but when you create a whole page around a 10-year-old girl and posting her highlights, I'm just like, interesting. I just wanted to see from your perspective, how does that play out? I was just curious to see because I just wanted to know.
Yeah, especially when they tag like they'll tag me, they'll tag like Yolette at Ole Miss, they'll tag like small school in nowhere. And I'm just like, those are, three big pretty ranges that you got going there. Like that's D1, SEC.
Yeah,
We're D2, like we're in a really good conference. And then that last school, I'm like, all of us don't belong in the tweet together. I'm like, Yo should probably be in her own tweet and then me and the other school, like, yeah, you can put us together. But I'm like, yeah,
yeah,
you guys aren't even doing that correctly.
yeah. It's just interesting to see, man. So I just thought about that with the whole social media thing. Speaking of social media, what is something that you've seen that kind of deters you away? Like you wanted to play, they look good, everything's class was straight, game was good, but what about the social media part? It's kind of like, it was not a red flag, more like a yellow flag. Just like, I don't know about this one. And it turned into a red flag. So what are some things players should be aware of and think about when it comes to social media?
Yeah, man. Social media is probably the one that eliminates a lot of recruits and they don't even think about it. Um, because I am the, one of those coaches doing all the recruiting and stuff like that. So at my previous school, we would go through your likes, back then called favorites and stuff like that. Like I'm looking at
Mhm.
all that pictures that you're tagged in because I'm like, those are people that you hang around.
Mhm.
And, for like a few girls, like dance in a certain way and you post that to your social media page. I've worked at Christian schools. So the Christian schools have a little bit more strict of a policy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and some players are really good, and you try, and you go to your head coach, and you're like, but it's the clean version of the song. Like, hey, coach, it was a 3-second video. Like, it ain't even that long. It ain't
That's
had no
funny.
cursing in it. Like, hey, coach, coach just looking at you like, hey, nice try. And I'm like, okay, okay, okay.
Yeah,
Or
that's
just
funny.
like liking things with cursing in it. Like you didn't specifically say it, but you liked it and it's attached to your profile. Like I can't really have that because every
Mm-hmm.
kid once they commit to a college, they're gonna put in their bio shorter women's basketball, and so now you represent us. So
Yeah.
now when they see that your name popped up as like that, it's attached to Shorter University or Shorter's women's basketball, and we have to give an account for that. So your
Mm.
likes and everything doesn't have to be posted. I'll just say that.
Yeah, yeah. They had a clean version. That's funny, bro. That was funny.
Man, you try. I'm not gonna lie to you. You're really talented. You thinking of some ways like, hey, coach, come on now. Like, it wasn't even a bad part of the song. It was the second verse. Like, everybody doing it. It's a TikTok trend, and they like, nah, can't have it. I'm like, okay, okay. Like, it is what it is.
Yeah, yeah, that's understandable, man. Um, any other gems you got? That you just wish you could like have players understand this more, or man, like if players could get this through their brain when it comes to recruiting, trying to get to college, like anything else you got that you just have a burning desire that you never really got out publicly, man.
I would say be a star in your role. Like,
Yeah,
again, we're building teams, and this isn't, this ain't 2K. Like, I can't turn off the stamina button and then we just
yeah,
run our five all day long. Like, I gotta have pieces that complement each other. So if you're a really
hmm,
good passer, be that. Like, we need a guard that can come in and just run the offense for us. If you're a really good shooter, be that. Like, yes, I'm gonna get you here and I'm gonna try to mold you into an all-around player. But really, at the beginning, I'm recruiting you for a specific reason. Like, we need kids that can go in there and rebound the ball. Like,
hmm,
that helps me out. That gives me extra possessions. I need a lockdown defender. Now, that is not to say that all you can do is rebound and you can't put it on the floor, or if I throw it to you, you start, playing hacky sack with it. Like, no, I need you to be
yeah,
able to catch the ball too, but
yeah,
be a star in your role. Everybody doesn't have to score 15. Like, you can find countless articles that mention like there might have been 5 players last year that averaged 15 or that averaged
hmm,
20 points. Like, it's not that many. So you got to be able to do something else. And
yeah,
then you have to understand that scholarships are 1 year basis as of right now. So just
hmm,
because you got that and this isn't a threat, or it's not the boogeyman hiding in the closet, but it's just a
yeah,
reality. Like, your scholarship is 1 year basis. It can go up, it can go down. So like, yeah, that coach might say, hey, this year I don't have enough money for you. I can get you this. It's not a full, it's a partial. And you can come in and play your way to a full. The same way you can go from a full to a partial to nothing. Like,
mm,
once you get to college, the work doesn't stop. You can't just get here and be like, "Woo, I made it!" Kick my feet up. No, like,
yeah,
you still got to get in here on your own time, and you got to balance all of it. Like, that's
mm,
that is my biggest thing to kids is this is a full time commitment. Like,
yeah,
it's gonna be hard because we're gonna miss class to go to games. We're gonna miss class to be on the bus, and we're still expecting you to get a good grade. Your teachers are still expecting you to understand the material. So this is a
yeah.
full time grind, and you got to be ready for that.
Yeah, I think that's a good nugget to have. You feel me? Because because like you don't understand. Like me and my cousin are big on telling players to like be a star in your role. Like I think we get too caught up with the highlight culture, and we emphasize the LeBrons, the KD, Stephs, Giannis. That's cool, but like you need a Mario Chalmers. You need a sidekick, man. Everybody can't be the Avengers.
Ooh,
Like everybody can't be Captain America and Thor and we can't have everybody be Iron Man. Somebody got to be
see,
Black Widow and Hawkeye. You need
you
some
brought
of the
up
other
Mario
ones.
Chalmers. I'm from Memphis. That's a sore subject. Mario Chalmers played for Kansas. Hit that game. Hit that three to send it to overtime. Like, a lot of my Memphis people right now kind of cringing, and they might turn off the podcast. Could have just picked anybody else.
My bad, bro. Okay, everybody can't. I'll clean it up. Everybody can't be Derrick Rose. You feel me? He played at Memphis. Okay. Everybody can't be CDR. He played at
There you go.
Memphis around the
Oh,
same
CDR.
time.
There you go. There you go.
You feel me?
Deep cut. There we go.
Yeah, I'm a basketball man, bro. I got a little something to me, man. Everybody can't be Ja. Somebody
Yeah.
got to be Desmond Bain.
Uh-huh.
Everybody
Uh-huh.
can't. Everybody. Let me think some more. Everybody can't be Zebo or Marcus All. Somebody got to be Tony Allen.
We
So
love TA, man. There you go. Everybody back. They back now. They tuned back in. I see the
I,
numbers
I
going
had
up.
I had to clear out. I had to get my Memphis fans back. I was doing good. It's like, so I'll take it even further back. Everybody can't be Pau Gasol. He
Oof,
was
there
the
you
man
go.
in Memphis.
There you
So
go. There you go. Need
but
some Stromile Swips out there.
yeah,
You
ooh,
know?
that's a good one.
Yeah.
Summer Smith, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But but yeah, like everybody can't be that guy or that
Mhm,
girl. Somebody has to fill in the other roles and the needs. It's not to say that your role is less important, but it's just a different role. You know what I mean?
mhm,
Like LeBron's great. He does a little bit of everything, but he can't score all 120 points. That's impossible.
mhm.
Like he has to have somebody else. He can't get a triple double passing the ball to himself. Like he has to kick it out to somebody else. He can't get all 50, 60 rebounds in the game. So it's like everybody plays a role that fits to where the end goal is. Like a car isn't just running by itself. You need an engine, you need tires, you need a steering wheel, you need all this stuff to make the car come together. Just because you're not the driver doesn't mean you're not important. Like I think players have to understand that more. And it's not, trying to be like, oh, bad player, whipping you, nothing. It's just like it's just the understanding, like a teaching lesson. So we've been big on that, bro. Like be a star in your role. Like it's perfectly fine to not be the go-to or star player because we're going to you for something else. Like you said, we need a rebounder. Like we're looking at you. We need a rebound. Ain't nobody looking at me. I'm the point guard. Now we're looking at you. Like we need a rebound. So what's up?
Exactly.
Like
Like
so,
one
yeah.
of the things I love here at Shorter is Coach L has a film grading sheet that we do after each game, scrimmage, practice, whatever. And nowhere on that grading sheet will you find points. We don't give credit for
Mm,
points. Like we give credit for box outs, for closeouts, for grabbing a loose ball. We take away points for not boxing out.
mm,
That's why you have to be a star in other things. Like we're gonna give you points for positive touch. Like
mm.
high five a teammate or you dive on that ground. Like there are other things you can do to make an impact on a basketball court other than score.
I like that
And
because
so
I remember.
yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was saying maybe it's up to us as coaches. Like we need to put together a highlight package of the dirty plays and the give somebody their minute 30, 45 seconds or whatever it is of just them grabbing rebounds and make that the
Mm.
popular thing to do. So we share a little part in that.
Yeah, because I remember. I don't remember when it came out, but it was a couple years ago that the a big reason that Steve Nash won part of his MVPs is because they really tracked and calculated the number of high fives and pats on the back he gave and stuff. And it's just like that small little, pat on the back, they're like, oh, you all right, just this small encouragement or either picking you up when you're down or enhancing you when you did good. And like that small little bit adds up over time, over the season, over a game to where it's like that's good leadership to have. And it's like if we did not to be corny, because we can get super corny with this, but like not to be corny, but like that little stuff adds up and it means something because it's like when I was hooping, I used to be in my head so much. Oh, you all right, B? Come on, you good? Keep playing. Come on, Marcus, you good, bro? Keep playing.
Yeah. Yeah.
That means so much in that moment to where it's like that literally saved my game for the rest of no matter when it happened, it saved the rest of the game. And it could have saved the rest of the team's game too. So I think we should do more of praising certain efforts rather than just particular stats besides scoring. So I think that's a interesting route that y'all decided to go down.
Yeah, it's super important. All credit to Coach L, Coach Lashina. Like that's her film grading sheet, and I can because this is like the first time I've ever seen somebody not track points on the grade sheet. And I was like, hey, we
Mm.
missing the column, and she was like, nah, this is what we're focused on. I was like, okay, that's cool.
I like that. I'm gonna try to steal that with my players when I'm talking about that with them. So I like that. So now I'm gonna give you the mic, man. If you could, if you were at the Super Bowl, like Rihanna just got done performing, right? She doing the Super Bowl. She just got done doing her thing.
Mhm.
And they said, "Here you go, coach. We want you to give a message out here to shout out, why D2 basketball should you should put some more respect on D2 basketball's name." What would you say with the opportunity to champion Division 2 basketball?
Man, I would tell anybody Division 2 is that perfect balance of basketball and life. So like right
Mm,
now, we don't do summer like practices. We don't make you come back to class and do workouts during the summer. You have that to yourself. But then when you get back on campus in August and September, we can still work out. So, at that other level, I'm not gonna mention names, but that other level, they got you there all summer, you tired, body hurting. And then at the other level below that, you get back and you can't practice until October with your coaches. Like we have the perfect balance, I believe. And
mm,
quiet as it's kept, there's some D2s that can't schedule games against those D1s because they keep running from them. So there's
mm,
competition everywhere, especially in the GSC. Like we're one of the toughest conferences out there, and like I'm excited about this challenge. And I would just tell anybody to keep an eye on that. There's some D2s that upset D1s, and then sometimes there's some D2s that win, and it's not an upset. Like they're just playing flat out better. So like the
mm,
way people are able to transfer and move around, like I believe D2 gives you that blend of basketball and having a life. So this ain't a
mm.
death row moment, but if you want to play some basketball, come to D2.
Oh, that's funny. I've never heard of that explanation of D2. Because that makes sense. Because some players they really enjoy basketball and that's what they do, but they don't want to be overly consumed by it. And some players by the time they get to college, it's just like, man, I've been doing basketball for so much for so long year round that they do need some level of a break. And that I think that's a perfect blend that some players do need. Some people would be like, well, no, I want to do year round, and that sounds like whatever. But like some players, that's heaven. Like I just want to
Yeah.
do basketball from here to here and give me my life from here to here, and we'll figure out everything in the middle. So I like that. I think that's a good pitch because somebody need to hear that.
Yeah, appreciate it. And hey, just throw it out there. Shorter basketball. That's we right there. If you're looking for
Yeah,
that perfect blend, go ahead and email me, mhunt@shorter.edu. We may be able to work something out.
yeah. Y'all holler at him, man. If y'all want to go to Shorter, man. That's not me endorsing him, but that's just me endorsing him. So hey.
Appreciate that.
So all right, man. I got two more questions for you. Then we get out of
Okay.
here.
Okay.
So I'm a big fan of giving people their flowers, because too many times, we wait till people can't really receive their flowers before we give them to them. And there are some people that, that work and just grind. They ain't really focus on the flowers, but they still need them. So if you get an opportunity to right now to give someone the flowers, whether it can be a coach, somebody you coached against, a player you have or win against or whatever. I know you can't do particulars, but somebody you want to
Mhm,
shout out
mhm.
if you can, a trainer, whoever, that you just feel like they're underrated and deserve a little more respect and a little bit of love in the name, man. Who could you shout out right here and give them some love?
Ooh, okay, okay. Cause I'm gonna have people mad at me. They gonna be like, "Yo, you ain't shout me out." I'm be like, Let's see.
You can do more than one.
uh, okay, okay. Of course, the one that we already talked about, Joel Harrison at West Florida. Gotta shout him
My
out.
guy.
Yeah, like because truly, if he wouldn't have, extended that olive branch to become a friend, like I wouldn't be in this position to be on this podcast or at the school that I'm at.
Mhm.
So like always super thankful for him. Uh, you know, not only is he a good person, but he's a good coach. Like I watched him coach JV and varsity, be an assistant. Like man was doing it all. And I used to tell him all the
Mhm.
time. I was like, I don't know how you do all that, man. Like there is no way that I would be able to do that. So shout out to him. Hmm, who else? Who else? I'm gonna give a shout out to. Uh, give another shout out to my brother Cord Jones. He's AAU director in Mississippi. Like he DC Bucks, they're creating this whole Mississippi thing. He's one of the driving forces behind that. Like that guy works hard. Me and him just had, a little text message the other day, and I was just telling him like, hey man, you're doing it the right way. You don't be on social
Mhm.
media going at other athletic directors or other AAU people. You just grinding for your girls, and like I really respect that. And like,
Mhm.
he just got it out the mud. So like people like that, I can't do nothing but respect and give them their
Yeah.
flowers. So those two, I'll leave it at that. Everybody else, I
Yeah.
was getting to say your name, but because of the time constraint, I want to go ahead and keep it moving. So.
I like that, man. I like that. Yeah. Now for my last question, man. Um, we've all had, when you're in the game long enough, you end up learning some things about the game that you take and carry into your life. So we've all had that situation where a coach pulls us aside, or a parent pulls us aside, and they talking about something around the game, but it hits you a little bit hard, and it's like years later you still remember that talk or that conversation, and like that lesson that you learned at whatever age that was, you still carried it to your life. So what's something that you learned from the game, or that somebody told you, that you take and you still apply to your daily life? Like you had the Burning Man triangle, like you took that from the show, but what's something that you learned from basketball that you use and apply to your life now?
Man, it's one of those quotes that talks about how coaches can touch, so many lives over a given period of time. One of the things that a parent told me when I was doing the middle school and high school, he was like, I just appreciate you being a positive influence on my child. And like, becoming a coach, I'm still young, 30, started coaching when I was like 22, 23. But like, even at that time, like those kids were looking up to me. So like, as a
Mm,
coach, you have the ability to, build or destroy. And I feel like you should always choose to build. Like every player is not going to be perfect, and you're going to have some disagreements, and sometimes they're going to go a different way. But it's my job, I feel like, as a coach, to try to build them up. Um, I've had players like leave a program, and I'll still hit them up like, "Hey, how you doing? What's going on?" I just feel like it's my job as a coach to always be a positive influence. So I would say that that's one of the biggest things that I've taken out of my coaching journey so far, is that you have the ability to build and destroy, but you need to choose to build at all times, and it is very difficult, especially you just lost and the parents going off on you about playing time, and like
mm,
you really want to go back. The Memphis wants to come out of me, and I want to fire back, but you suppress it and you say, "Hey, they're just heated in the moment." Give everybody time to cool off, and you come back and you have those talks, but always trying to build up other people. I think that's one of the important lessons that I've taken so far.
mm. Well, that's a powerful way to end the podcast, man. Unless you got something else you want to shout out, anything else you want to say real quick, man.
No, I just appreciate you creating this opportunity for me to come on here. I think it is important to do these type of interviews, and this is my first podcast interview, so I appreciate that for you. I spent countless hours on my lunch break, on the company time at other jobs, watching watching basketball podcasts, and to finally be able to do one, it's really interesting. Nervous all day, but I appreciate you making this experience a great one.
Man, ain't nothing to be nervous about, bro. It's just me, like but but nah, man, I appreciate you hopping on, bro. Like it really means a lot. Like I never take it lightly that something that I thought of, and now I'm doing it for somebody else to say, man, I respect and appreciate that. I want to be a part of it. It means a lot, So I never take it light when anybody comes on and does the interviews, anything like that. So I truly appreciate you hopping on, taking time out of your day to spend a little time with me, man. So I really appreciate that.
Thank you. Anytime. You let me know if you need something. I'm here.
Sounds good, brother. So that's it, man. Another dope interview, another great coach. Shout out to Marcus for coming on. Thank everybody for listening. Make sure that you are subscribed on this podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe. Like it's simple. Like the button's right there somewhere at the bottom. Like so go ahead and subscribe. It's easy. Y'all know, y'all see it. I ain't gotta, y'all smart. Y'all got it. Making me look dumb. But nah, you got it. So go ahead and subscribe. If you listen to it, just follow along, subscribe, whether it's Apple, Spotify, whatever, Google. I don't care. Just subscribe. I'm a fan of you being a fan of me. So let's be a fan of each other. Subscribe along. Okay. If you want to, follow me on social media, BeBall Jones. That's BeBall Jones. I'm everywhere. So if you just Google me, I should pop up. That's a pretty unique name. Did it intentionally. So follow me everywhere. With social media, man, I'm gonna go ahead throw you on here, man.
Coach M Hunt on I think on all platforms. If you type in Coach M Hunt, you'll find me.
Get you official real quick, man. They did it before, but it's all good. Boom, we right there. Coach
There we
M.
go.
Hunt.
There we go.
Show my guy some love, follow him, hit him up with the DMs, like, yo, you did your thing on the podcast, man. Like, you gave some good gems, you gave, some knowledgeable stuff, you're funny, you represented Memphis well, you represented Shorter, like, what I mean, play your thing up, man. So show him some love, took the time out to come talk to me. So yeah, that's it, man. So make sure you show him some love and follow us along next week, man. Might be another interview, might be my co-host back to give us some game, or I don't know what it might be. I don't know yet, but you'll find out if you subscribe and follow along. So that's it. See y'all next week. Appreciate you listening. See you later, hopefully. If not, I will see you later regardless, because you followed along, subscribe. So that's it. See y'all later. Appreciate it.